magic number. It is. It's the magic number.
What does it all mean?
Hello and welcome to Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy. That's me, Matthew Syed. We have got some more meaty topics to get our teeth into.
Have you been working on that, have you?
Yeah, I want to get the pronunciation right.
Meaty.
Meaty.
Now that sounds wrong. That sounds wrong.
Yeah.
Stop doing that, Matthew.
So the topic's underdogs in sport. Does sport build character, or is that a myth? An interesting one, this, from Robbie. Friends in life and in sport. As always, a huge thank you to everyone who's got in touch through the week using the hashtag FredSavSide. But before we get going, let's do what we always do, which is find out what we've all been doing over the past week. And Robbie, I have to say, mate, and I'm sorry about it, you look terrible.
Don't you look bad today? What's wrong with you?
Yeah,
You've been burning the candle at both ends.
So I had a barbecue at my house yesterday, which Andrew come along to with the boys and his wife.
I'm thinking that.
But yeah, a bit too far for you to travel, I think, Matthew. And
I was in Manchester last night.
Virgin first class. We'll do it on Sunday. You were here. You could have come.
Quite late though.
Dear me.
But what was it? Food poisoning?
I don't know, because we've all. I was the chef. Father's Day as well, by the way.
Yeah,
so
marvellous.
I was the chef. I did the barbecue. I had 3 glasses of rose. That's all I had in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I woke up. So you go to bed. I went to bed at 11:20 after watching Love Island. I love Love Island. It's fantastic.
What?
Love Island.
Never seen it.
Not seen it all.
Never seen it.
It's brilliant, man. It's brilliant. Love.
What? Oh,
Love. I love Love Island.
Uh-huh.
So I went to bed about 11:20, and then about 1 o'clock. I woke up sweating. You know when you're like stripping with sweat in the middle of the night?
Stripping or
Dripping.
It's not affected your speech, has it? You still can't get your words out.
So it was one of them. My missus said, "You all right?" I went, "Oh no, I'm going to be sick." So I went in the bathroom, put my fingers down my throat, which obviously because I wanted to be sick, and then was sick, and then I felt all right then. But
slightly too much information.
I did.
Is it coming out your nose? Like full burgers coming out them nose, a whole hot dog coming out of that massive hooter.
You started again. You're both picking up again.
Why are you smiling now, Rob? You've turned up like a wet weekend.
You're both picking on me.
Because you've had a bad week, haven't you? You've realised you're going bold, and that's been the subject all week.
Yeah.
The boldness has been asking everyone.
Yeah.
I was at the
I'm not saying knob on here.
Yes. We was at the cricket last week. Our boys were both playing. I turned up and I was sat next to Rob, and his mum Val, who's brilliant, was there. And I mentioned it to Val. I said, "Have you noticed Rob is going bald?" And she started looking at it, pulling his hair. But she goes, "Oh, I've never noticed, Rob. Oh, babe, you're going bald." And then she looked at him and said, "And why's your eyebrows ginger?" You got ginger eyebrows, Rob. You got ginger eyebrows, babe. Why's your eyebrows ginger? Oh, mate, it just made me...
gingery.
But you're supposed to, when you put the false tan on, you're supposed to put Vaseline. You're supposed to put Vaseline on your eyebrows, and then when you rub the false tan in, the Vaseline doesn't allow the false tan to take. But I just can't be bothered doing that. So I just rub it on my face, and then obviously I've got ginger eyebrows.
Go on.
On the WhatsApp group, I've had a number of photos through where it's you, isn't it, pulling your hair back?
That's him.
And is it you who's been doing it? And then there are these triangles. It's like Pythagoras.
Pythagoras.
We were in the gym the other day, and he got a coffee. You know when you have a cup of coffee and you have one of those coffee sticks?
Yeah.
He was pulling my hair back with a dissecting my hair, making me look bald.
Making you look bold. You are going bold, Robbie. You're going bold.
Anyway,
but he had a bad day because also as well, he was in the gym and he left his phone hanging around.
Oh, really?
Dear me.
Yeah, and I love this game where you get so much fun and you text people. And I was going through his phone and I thought, I've got a window of opportunity here. So the first one was Graham Lasso, and I know Graham, so I thought I'll text Graham Lasso. So I texted him to say, "Graham, I've got warts on my balls. Any advice?"
This clown here. He's a clown. Seriously.
But I know him, so he panicked, so I text Graham. I also did, Dougie Friedman, managed Bolton.
Uh-huh.
I sent Dougie a text saying, "Dougie, I've got 3 tickets for Wicked tomorrow night. Do you fancy it, big ball?" Shearer's already in. So he sent one back not knowing what's going on.
And Michael Vaughan.
What did you say to Vaughan?
I sent one to Vaughan because Vaughan's had his hair done, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's going bald again, bless him, but he's trying. Right? So I sent one to Vaughan saying, "I'm going bald at the front, Vaughan. Can you help me?" So he sent a message back with the clinic he goes to
phone numbers, everything.
phone numbers. I said, don't say anything to anyone. So it'd be like, it's spread like wildfire now. That
I've had a bad week.
What's the moral of this story? Never leave your phone around when Freddie.
Seriously, mate.
There's a few morals here, isn't there?
He's nearly 40. He's nearly 40. Look at him. He's nearly 40. He's pulling people's shorts down in the gym. He's
Well, I was going to
texting
say,
people.
I wake up in a sweat whenever I think about the time that I played Charlotte in that table tennis head-to-head here at Salford Quays, and they were filming it. There were hundreds of people watching from the atrium at the BBC. And Freddie came round and pulled my shorts down, and he very nearly grabbed my pants accidentally. Honestly, the very thought that was going out live.
Facebook Live.
But so that was my week. But before that, it was not bad because do you see the social media Real's vlog on
I love that.
that.
This is brilliant.
Yeah, on Sir Alex Ferguson, who you probably mention again on this podcast soon. He was in the dressing room when he was the manager of Michael Carrick's team in his testimonial, and Real done
Easy for you to say.
yeah, I know. I'm struggling. And Real
You can't put it down
Real
to
did his vlog, which is a
Yeah.
fantastic vlog, and he showed Alex's team talk. And basically, he went to Ferdinand and Vidic. He said, "You're playing centre halves." He said, "I've only played you once in midfield, Real." And Savage ran all over you, which was brilliant because it was 2-4, 1 up. We won 4-3. Rio had his only red card of his career against me on that day. I ran all over him.
What do you mean ran all over him?
But
He actually said he ran over the top of you, didn't he?
Yeah, so basically, in the middle of the park, just steaming over him, ran all over it, so I had the better of him, I suppose.
Isn't that amazing? So I mean, this is one of the best defenders England has ever produced. He moved up to midfield and you dominated him. Now,
Dominated him.
Just explain to me one small thing. How is it that you were able to do that? Why wasn't he able to adapt to what you were doing? What were you doing that made it so
One-dimensional,
difficult?
Rio, isn't he?
Well, listen, Rio's my pal. We get him so well now, and he's been really good to me, in recent years.
He's one-dimensional. That's what he said to me. That's what he said to me.
That's what he said to me on the
He said
phone.
he's one-dimensional.
Because me and Rio...
He also said, Rio is one-dimensional and he's not fit to lace my boots.
No,
That was quote, unquote.
Look.
He's got it.
He said how he played for United and I didn't. It was an absolute
So
disgrace.
anyway, going back to the truth, Matthew. So, Rio was one of the best centre-halves, or I would say the best centre-half in recent years England have produced, no question about it, in my opinion. But when you move into midfield, obviously, it's a different game because when you're playing a centre-half, Freddie's a centre-half. If he'd have had 10,000 more hours in him, he could have been Rio Ferdinand.
4 or 5.
4 or 5, yeah. But when you play centre-half, everything's in front of you, isn't it? And you can organise. But when you're in midfield, obviously your whole body shape changes. And do you remember on a previous podcast, I said if I'd have learnt to be a midfielder, because I learnt to be a centre-forward, Rio learnt to probably be a centre-half. So it is a different game because obviously everything's around you.
Yeah.
I mean, your body shape. Rio could do it. Obviously, he could do it. People are saying John Stones, can he play midfield now? But it's difficult. But, yeah, so I
Why
would
did he play midfield against you? Did you just think it was easy meat? No, really, seriously, why?
I think they were struggling for injuries
Yeah.
at the time. So obviously Rio, because Rio's fantastic on the ball. We all know that, brilliant on the ball. But,
They're really trying to bring it back with Rio.
You are.
After saying there's one
I
dimension.
know the side. I like the real
we
side
hated
of the
each
story.
other. We hated each other.
Did you?
Because we had a fight in the Old Trafford tunnel. Semi-final of the cup, 1-1. We drew at Ewood Park 1-1, I think, and it was the second leg at Old Trafford, half-time. I think it was 1-1. They just scored a penalty. And he run past me to go down the tunnel in the corner at half-time and nudged me. So I chased him, got into the tunnel and booted him up the backside, leathered him up the backside.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, he's come for me, clipped me around the head, and then...
But with a right swing.
Yeah, right swinger. And then a few other people got involved, the security men, and it all kicked off. So then went into half-time, sat down. We hated each other, but now we become good friends. And
Can I put in a request to the group here? Can we change our opening topic from underdogs to extraordinary things that happen in the dressing room, in the tunnel? Because I'll tell you what struck me watching that Ferguson video. I, as a journalist, would love to go into a dressing room and watch Mourinho give a team talk, watch Ferguson give a team talk. I loved the respect that the players had for Ferguson.
It's a great idea, Matthew, but it's a no from me. No, let's do it.
Isn't that interesting? So let's transition directly into that.
well,
I'm
done now. I'm done. No,
Okay, so the first topic.
hang on, we haven't got our friends
Yeah,
done this
please.
yet.
Yeah.
I'm not done out. I've just hammered you all week.
Well, have you got a parking ticket?
Oh, God. Oh, blimey. Now, why did you do this? Why did you do it? I got a park.
Parking anywhere. Oh, he parks anywhere.
I saw this. Wasn't this in the Daily Mail?
Yeah, big news this week. That real big news.
See, I thought Robbie was kidding when he said you had a Ferrari. You got a beautiful black Ferrari.
Yes.
Sorry,
Yes, I try and keep it under my arm. I've also got a Kia, but no one talks about that, do they? Hey, let's talk about the Kia.
We went cash.
Sorrento, 7 seats, gets the family a lovely car. Look, I was in Manchester. I had meetings in Manchester all week. My day job, and I parked my car. It was an honest mistake. I parked it on King Street outside the office, and I parked it, and I put my money in, £6.50 I think for 2 hours. It's not cheap, that £6.50.
Wow.
So I put it in, and I misread my ticket. I thought it said 12:56. It finishes,
Uh-huh.
but it was 12:36. So I came back at 5 to 1 to find a parking ticket on my car.
Oh, that's unlucky.
It's not.
It was
20 minutes.
How is it
Are they
lucky?
quite hot?
No,
man?
mate, they're all over it. All over it. But do you know why? I walked past this fella, and I knew him as a pap, because he's one of them hangs around Old the Edge. You know the brothers?
Yeah.
He hangs around there, and he said, "Is that your Ferrari?" And I said, "No. No, it's not mine."
With a number plate like that.
And I thought about walking. He says, "All right." So I was going to walk past it, because they were filming Cold Feet down there as well.
Uh-huh.
So there's a bit of press around and a few people. So I got in my car, thought I got away with it, but I hadn't. But do you know what? Do you know the silly thing is?
Why is that a news story?
Because it's slow day, wasn't it?
Uh-huh.
You know the strange thing is, and I'm not advocating this, I was in Manchester the following day, and I must admit, I went to that parking meter more times than I can remember, because you can only get 2 hours on a parking meter. So I put in probably 30 odd quid, where if I took the ticket and paid within 14 days, it's £25.
So actually, you're better off.
Well, I'm not advocating taking tickets, but it is easier.
Well, there we are.
know
That's, if Manchester City Council...
No, because I like the council.
But they should check. They should probably make the fines higher.
No, you're missing the point, Matthew. You're missing the point.
Do you want that on the cars?
Hey, by the way, on that mail story,
Yeah.
final paragraph of the piece.
Podcast.
What did they mention?
That's why I did it.
But, yeah, exactly.
That's why I did it, just to plug the podcast.
Go on,
Thank you.
Matt.
Mail Online.
Do you want that? I've done that in the past, but this is worse, right? I went to I live near Macclesfield, right? And I needed to go into O2. I broke my phone, right? So I broke my phone. So I went into Macclesfield, and there was a taxi rank. And there was about 6 or 7 taxi drivers there, out of their cars, hot day, having a cigarette, whatever they're doing. So there was nowhere to park. So I parked behind them, and I said, "Excuse me, guys, I'm going to be 5 minutes. If I leave my car here, will it be okay? Will it be okay?" And they said, yeah, they knew who I was. They said, "Yes, Robbie, it will be." I said, "Sure." They said, "Yeah, no problem." Anyway, I'm aboard you, yeah? So I've run to the telephone shop, got my phone repaired, run out 5 minutes. Anyway, as I'm going around the corner, this old lady comes up to me, and she went, "They're horrible, they're horrible." I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "As soon as you went round the corner, one of them run off, got a traffic warden, took me to my car, and gave me a ticket, yeah." And and when I got back, they were all laughing.
Outrageous.
True story, yeah.
That's dreadful.
True
isn't it?
story. Anyway.
Sorry to hear that, Rob.
Oh, don't worry.
Pray for Robbie.
Topic number 1. And this is coming off the back of what Robbie said in that introduction there about being mentioned by Sir Alex Ferguson in the dressing room when he was given a team talk for that testimonial. What are the most unusual, interesting things that have happened in the dressing room, in the tunnel? This is a part of sport that the public don't get to see. What's it like listening to Sir Alex Ferguson or Jose Mourinho or Duncan Fletcher or Andy Flower? Robbie, do you want to kick us off?
Well, I've just said the one about Rio Ferdinand. I'm just thinking of other examples, Matthew, because myself and Fred are usually prepared for this podcast. We do our research. So,
Top of my head.
you know, so
Do you know like when you see these football documentaries, there's a brilliant one about the late Graham Taylor.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
he just was on the sidelines.
Yeah.
He probably gave the camera crew too much access, didn't he?
He
'Cause
did.
They were everywhere, and I don't know if it painted him in a great light or a bad light. But as a viewer to watch that and see what happens within a football dressing room, and he's seen Barry Fry
Barry Fry,
going around the dressing room shouting at people and chucking stuff
Yeah.
and having a go. And I used to watch that because it didn't really happen in cricket. It wasn't that sort of culture. Only every now and then. But was that the norm in football? Like the managers you played for?
Yep.
Did they go around saying, "Savage,
yeah,
you that"?
Martin O'Neill, Fred, was the best example. So basically, as a youngster, just to make him away in the Premier League, and it would be easy on you at the start, but you'd see him having a go at the older players, more experienced players, but then one day that was going to be you. And I always remember that if you had a bad first half, you'd be going into the change room thinking straight away, oh, no, I hope the manager doesn't have a go at me. And what used to happen, so I used to sit in the same place all the time, at Filbert Street, you'd go in the door, and I was the first on the left. So the gaff used to walk in, and he used to pause all the time, 30 seconds. He used to stand there, and he used to have his green jumper on, sleeves rolled up. He had MON on his top, Martin O'Neill.
What, green jumper? Is he a Brian Clough fan or something?
Well, yeah, so basically he played for Brian Clough.
That's a good point, actually.
I think it was Fox Leisure the kit was, and he used to have this green jumper on, sleeves rolled up. Brian Clough was famous for a green jumper. So I'm sitting there, I've had a bad first half, and he used to come in, and he used to put his hand on his mouth, and he used to look around the dressing room, and you'd be sitting there thinking, please, not me.
So he's deliberately trying to maximise the apprehension, the tension in the room.
You knew yourself, you had a bad first half if you made a mistake. I remember he used to look round, and then if it was you, oh no, it was horrendous. He used to absolutely tear it.
Would he raise his? Would he shout?
Yeah, shout. Yeah, shout.
How dare you give the ball away? Why were you out of position?
Would
Would there be swear word?
Never mind you, Robbie. Kick the ball.
Why haven't you touched the ball this hard?
You got ginger eyebrows, Rob. What's wrong with you? You've been at that fake tan again.
There would be swear words, but the apprehension of was it going to be you that was going to get hammered? Honestly, it was horrendous. But it used to inspire me. He'd hammer me at half time, and of course, it would inspire you to go out there second half and prove him wrong. He was a master of that.
Did it inspire you?
Yeah,
like in the dressing room. Say it comes to you.
Yeah.
Because some people I played with would respond to it. Some would just sulk and disappear. But if he came in and had a go at you, saying, Savage, second half, you go out there and be better.
Prove him wrong.
Was the people in your dressing room
they'd go into their shell, probably?
Who'd go into the shell?
Yeah, who wouldn't have liked that.
So did he then?
He knew how to. He knew every person. He knew there was a guy called Steve Guppy, left winger.
Steve Guppy, I heard of Steve Guppy. Yeah,
fantastic left foot. Got in the England, had one cap for England, brilliant. But we knew as a group, if Martin would have gone for him, he wouldn't have got the best out of him.
Did he ever go for him?
Not very often. I remember one occasion we played Southampton away, right? And this goes to show the mindset of a manager, knowing his players, knowing the change room. Southampton away, we got hammered. Mm-hmm. The lads were horrendous. And I remember Gups was pathetic. He was pathetic. Anyway, we're getting after the game. Gaffer goes round, hammers everybody, and he's got to Stevie Guppy. You were brilliant. So all the lads get on the bus thinking, what is he? He was shocking. We used to hammer him.
Yeah.
You were sure. You were shocking.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, next week, Gups was man of the match. Brilliant. I think we beat Liverpool. But just goes to show.
So he was being psychological,
correct.
Trying to get
brilliant.
the right response.
Man management, Martin O'Neill, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Got the best out of every individual. I was talking about before when he said about me, I had no ability, I lacked ability, but that got the best out of me. Yeah. But in the change room, Nigel Clough was another one. He'd done that to me. So later in my career, Nigel Clough, the master of man management players. The older players, I was 36. And if I had a good game on a Saturday, he'd say to me, see you Friday. Mm-hmm. So all the other lads were probably thinking, oh, the gaffer, look at the gaffer, look at Sav. Yeah. He's his man. But because the gaffer knew I travelled, to get the best out of me, he's a massive family man. You haven't seen your kids much in recent times. You keep yourself fit, keep yourself right, see you Friday. You're playing Saturday.
Of course, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Which was brilliant man management for me. I wanted to then run through brick walls for Nigel Clough. Yeah. And we played Cardiff away. We got beat 6-1. Mm-hmm. And Fred and Matthew, when you've played sport, you don't need anybody telling you if you've had a good or a bad game. We lost to Cardiff 6-1. And I've got to say, I've come in after the game thinking, I've done all right here. Mm-hmm. We got beat 6-1. And I've done all right. Hang on, mate. You've done all right. But you know yourself. You know matter. Yeah, but it does matter. You know yourself. And that's a fascinating topic. We could come on to again. So if you've got beat 6-1,
if you got beat 6-1,
and I played well,
and you played well.
Yeah, it's a good.
Do you go strutting into the dressing room and looking at everyone thinking, "Oh, Guppy, shocking."
First and foremost,
I don't know how she played with. But
first and foremost, I was a team player.
I'm not disputing that at all.
Yeah, but I've got to say, sitting there getting beat 6-1, me thinking to myself, do you know what? I've played well here, and then the gaffer comes in thinking he's not going to single me out for playing well, but do you know what he did? He hammered everybody on the reverse of Steve Guppy, and I'm sitting there knowing I played well. He's gone, everybody but him. Sav, you were brilliant.
Oh, I'd hate that. I would hate that.
But do you know what I mean? That gave me, because I was quite insecure, quite a nervous person. Wow. Yeah.
You're a nervous player?
Yeah, a little bit. But for me, that was a massive thing because that takes a lot from a manager. That's when a team gets hammered 6-1, but has been honest and said to a player, "You've played well." I knew I'd play well.
But Joe, what's fascinating for me listening to you is that in football there is a dominant managerial technique of being angry, of shouting, of going after people, and it sort of fits with a stereotypical football manager who can ball with the best of them. In table tennis, we didn't have anything like that. There was
no one
anger,
cares.
no vitriol.
No one's bothered.
Yeah, good one, Fred. Yeah, nothing cares.
But no animosity. I mean, most of it was trying to build up and nurture and protect people's often quite fragile egos. I want to come back to some of the psychology behind that. But in cricket, a mistake, particularly as a batsman, that can have massive consequences. You're out, it puts the team under pressure. You see a lot of commentators who will hammer a batsman for playing a loose shot. Boycott.
Don't start me on them.
What's it like in the dressing room? You've got out, perhaps in a way that people think are frivolous. Would you go back and Fletcher or Flower or someone of that start hammering you in the way that Boycott might do?
No.
How would it?
Well, what happened? You see the commentators now, and I think they're getting better. Don't get me wrong. However, they've got short memories, such short memories of how hard it is. And you play a shot, and you're going to get out, and they just hammer you. But in the dressing room, no, it didn't. I started playing for Lancashire and England under 19s, under David Lloyd, under Bumble.
Yeah.
And
you loved him.
I loved him because he would tell you exactly what he's
Yeah,
thinking.
he's great, Bumble.
You knew that he had your back every day of the week, but don't let him down. Don't let him down. He would whatever you give, he would give you back tenfold.
Did he ever shout at you?
He never shouted at me, but it was worse what he did to me. Because I remember I broke my hand once. I punched the wall. I mentioned it on the podcast. I got out and I punched the wall. He didn't shout at me. He just said, well, that was stupid, and walked off. And that was worse than being shouted at. But Bumble, we saw when they played Zimbabwe, they drew against Zimbabwe in the press after he says, we murdered them. You go in the dressing room and then you come in. He'd have Churchill quotes.
Was he?
He'd have all your best bits as a player on the team bus playing to music and things, and he loved it all. He'd make you feel so good as a player. But then when he went off, or he'd go off, he would shout.
Would he?
I remember I wasn't there, but in Australia they got beat in a one-day international, and they should have won. And Alan Mullally had this massive new Bose sound system, and he got out. This Bose sound system ended up the other side of the dressing room, just booted it because he just went off on one.
Yeah.
On the England under-19s trip, he used to tell us in the dressing room exactly what he thought. But then, in one game, we're getting some stick off the crowd. It's a partisan crowd. It's like 300 people. He went and sat in the crowd, took his teeth out.
What?
And said, come on then, who wants a bit? Who wants a bit? I heard him on the telephone. On the telephone once, which was a wind-up he had no idea about. Mike Watkinson, we used to send letters. So they write letters, and they used to write letters to Bumble. And they wrote a letter to Bumble. And I was 12th man at the Oval, and he's reading this letter, and I could see the steam coming out of his ears. He was fuming. But he didn't know Mike Watkinson had written the letter, one of the players. He was just hammering him, hammering the team. And he phoned up, and this woman answered the phone. And he said, could I speak to such and such with this double-barreled name? He says, I'm sorry, he's tending the grounds. He says, well, can you tell him it's David Lloyd? You've sent me a letter. I'm 43 and I can handle myself. Right? So he phoned up, and then this fellow who'd been set up, he just tore a strip off him for half an hour, and I'm sat in the dressing room with him. But Bumble was brilliant. Man management, you'd play for him.
Yeah. It's interesting hearing you talk about it, because you can see that he inspired you, that the chemistry you had with him brought the best out of it. I'm guessing that Andy Flower, don't know him that well, but he would give a player the silent treatment.
I didn't really play much under Andy Flower. And
Fletcher, same kind of thing?
Fletcher, well, you know my thoughts on him. Do you know the problem with Duncan is that if you speak to me and a group of people, there were one opinion. You speak to Marcus Trescothick, you speak to Nasser Hussain, you speak to some, and they'll have a positive experience of Duncan Fletcher.
Yeah.
For me, the one thing that let Duncan down was his man management skills.
Right.
He did not have any.
Yeah.
He really didn't. He would treat people completely different. I remember I'd been working with him for 3 years, and then he wanted to let me into the secret of how to play spin. Well, I was thinking, why not tell me this like 3 years ago? And once he told me, it just confused me anyway.
Yeah.
And we didn't speak.
Yes.
It was like, if you got to have a problem, come on, let's have it.
Yeah.
Let's have it. Tell me.
Robbie, you mentioned that you and Rio had a showdown in the tunnel
Yeah.
at Old Trafford. I mean, that is interesting because we often don't see into that. We saw Keane and Vieira have a bit of a contretemps before one of the matches between United and Arsenal. But what would happen with you and opposition players? Would you try and rile each other in the tunnel? Would you try and play mind games with them? Any memories from that dynamic before you step out onto the field of play?
No, I was a captain of a lot of the teams I played, so I was usually in the front of the queue, with the mascots, and that's not bigging myself up. But
Did you talk to the opposition?
at times, Fred, but I was more focused. And people say hugging and all this in the tunnel. If I played against you in a sporting match, Fred, and we were competitive, and I seen you, my pal, I'd shake your hand, I'd give you a hug before you. I don't think there's a problem with that. I think
But as soon as you got on the field, you try and smash me.
yeah, of course, of course I would. So
Which is what you'd expect.
yeah, I'm not a problem with if you've got a good mate.
Yeah.
I think it's now when there's a slight connection, you're hugging everybody. I disagree with that. But if you've got a real mate, we'll come on to that later,
Yeah.
in the tunnel, give them a hug and say, how are you, blah, blah, blah. But I've seen, when I played for Derby against Leicester, when I went over in the last minute, Dan Higginbottom tripped me up, foul. We won the game 3-2. Muzzy that scored a penalty. And I remember kissing my badge at Pride Park in front of the Leicester fans. I was kissing the Leicester badge. And then all the players congregated in the tunnel, and the tunnel was a good word, was swaying from side to side, and I couldn't get in there because it was cracking off. It was cracking off because they all wanted to get to me, but Walsh, Elliott, Taggart all stuck up for me, wouldn't let them get to me. If I'd have gone in that tunnel, I'd have been
How hard were you trying to get to the front?
not very hard.
was it one of them? Hold me back, Zags, hold me back, hold me back.
So again, so that it happens in tunnels, but.
You got into trouble a couple of times with stuff you said in the dressing room, haven't you?
I remember on one occasion, Nigel Clough, nobody likes getting rested, do they? I'm not sure if you mentioned this on the past podcast before. I played well the previous game, Leicester City away, my old club, playing for Derby. I was playing really well. I was captain, and then the gaffer arrested me. He come to the front of the bus on the way to the game and said, I'm going to give you a rest today. And my head had gone. I said, give me a rest. Are you effing sure? I swore. And he went, that's my decision. Simple. So I've gone into the dressing room, and what happens is the kit man, assistant manager, are there before. So I've walked in, and I've threw me Louis Vuitton wash bag against the wall, as we all
Didn't
carry
scratch it, did you?
No.
Hey, your face cream didn't explode inside, did it? Hey? Oh,
So I've thrown it against the wall.
oh bummy.
And then, so they've gone, what's up? I said,
Whitening toothpaste everywhere.
so they've gone, what's up? I said, you know what's up.
How big was the wash bag? I bet it's massive, isn't it?
It's a suitcase. It's a suitcase.
Big hole in the wall.
So I said, oh, you know I'm not playing. Oh, well, I said, yes, you do. You know what the team is. I said, I'm playing well. I'm a captain. I'm against my old club.
Yeah.
I'm 36. I'm one of the fittest at the club still. Yeah, the gaffer doesn't think I can play 2 or 3 games a week. I said, is he for real? Yeah. Threw me wash bag. Anyway, I'm sat there, sulking, arms folded. Yeah. Anyway, the gaffer walks in, and he's going, what's up with you? I said, sub, are you sure? And he just looked at me, he went, do you want to be sub or not? I went, do what you want. I said, I'm not bothered. Do what you want. He went, do you want to be sub or not? And he got aggressive now. I went, oh, yeah, like that. So I was sub, never got on. And then for a week, he didn't speak to me. And if you're right, the silent treatment's worse.
Oh, it's horrible.
Seriously, so I've gone home that night thinking, oh dear, he's doing it in my best interest. We had a big game the following week. He's probably looking after me. Yeah, so the role reversal when he looked after me, it's all psychological.
Okay, can I go on, finish?
Yeah, can I finish? Sorry, Matthew. So anyway, I've gone home thinking...
I've only got an hour and a half, though, Rob.
Yeah, but that's... I've lost my train of thought now. You've interrupted me.
That's a tricky thing for him to lose as well. That's a tricky thing.
but on the other occasion, Stadium of Light, Sunderland, again, playing for Birmingham, 0-0, half time. I was the best player in the park. I'll come to the end of the story in a minute, right?
I hope so.
So 5 minutes into the second half, I've looked over, Matthew.
Yeah.
The number 8 ball's being held up. I've looked around and Steve Bruce is there in his tracksuit, and I've looked around thinking, what's going on here? And I've looked round at everybody and I think, is that my number? Is that mine? Anyway, yeah, it was 8. Off I go. Clinton Morrison comes
How
on.
many minutes?
49.
49 minutes.
So 4 minutes of the second half, and I'm thinking, I'm not injured. I was checking my legs. I was stretching. Am I right? Anyway, I've gone off. shut me boots, sat down, and said, are you sure? Are you for real, you idiot? I lost it. Anyway, Clinton Morrison comes on, scores the winner. We win 1-0. They're all jumping on each other when we score. I'm sitting there thinking, this is ridiculous.
What, you didn't celebrate?
No.
Come on,
No,
man. Come
no.
on.
My head's gone. My head's gone.
Yeah.
So I go in the dressing room afterwards. I'm sitting there. Brucey comes in and he's gone for me. I said, not bothered. I said, ridiculous. You won the game, fair enough. But why did you take me off? He's gone, oh, you never have a bad game? I said, not really, no. I said, not for you, no. I said, player of the year? No. Don't really have a bad game, no. And I was answering all his questions. Anyway, fell out. The man of the match was awarded. So the home team announced the man of the match. It was me. For 49 minutes, I got the man of the match. So I had to go up the stairs at Stadium Light and get a big bottle of Sunderland champagne. So
Were you a bit embarrassed?
no, I wasn't, because I knew I was for 49 minutes. But I was brilliant. I was
Score
brilliant.
while you were on.
Then why the hell did he take you off?
Exactly.
Did he give you an explanation?
No explanation. So I've got the bottle of champagne. I get on the bus and I put it in his seat. So I put it in his seat. So when he gets on the bus, my man of the match champagne was there. I said, I told you, ridiculous decision. But there's been times, Fred, in the dressing room and Matthew, when the gaffer will come in at half time and say stuff, and then you're walking out as a group of players and thinking, what was he on about there? Yeah. What on earth was he talking about? It's and then it's unbelievable. You know, the psychology of it.
But does it matter what the manager says?
Yeah, it does to me.
It can make a difference.
I don't know.
It's a massive difference.
So I didn't. Me and Duncan, I didn't really speak to my coach for a while, for quite a period of time. It had no relevance.
So he's the coach of the England team, and you and him are hardly exchanging.
I'd say morning some days. If I was playing well, he'd have a chat with me. If I wasn't, he'd just ignore me. But that's how he was.
But you were the best. How is that possible for the England coach?
Yeah, we had a very much a rocky relationship. It was very love-hate, you know.
What did the other players make of that? Were they aware of the sensitivity of the relationship?
Oh, of course they were, yeah. Everyone was. But it wasn't just me, it was quite a few others as well.
Yeah, right.
You know, he had his favourites and the people he'd talked to. And I remember when I got done for the Pedlo, and I got done, and I've done the press with him, and I've gone through all that, and then he summoned me. He summoned me down to hotel reception. So it's a massive... Everyone's knocking around. There's, like, people everywhere. And he said, oh, he summoned me. And I think, we're going to go to a room and do this, or what? He had me in reception. He said, can I have a chat? I said, yeah, of course you can. He said, you're banned for the next game, and I'm stripping you of your vice captaincy, which, I'll be honest with you, was a bit of a blessing to me, because I really enjoy it. Yeah. But banned is no good. Yeah. I said, oh, all right, fine. And then he turned around and he says, and while I'm thinking about it, he says, what have you ever done for me? What? And I said, I don't know what you mean, Duncan. I don't know what you mean. He says, well, Collingwood got me trainers.
I said, what? Sure.
I said,
he did not.
I said, oh, did he? He says, Essex. He said, he said, Strauss gets me sunglasses. What have you got for me? I thought, hang on a minute. Is a big house in Cape Town an OB, not an OB? It's like I was dumbfounded. It was really.
Was he serious?
Deadly,
he was expecting you to buy him a present for everything he's done for you.
I don't know if because I was working with a few companies at that time, maybe he expected a case of Red Bull or something. I don't know. Wow. But it was like, what have you done for me? It's like, oh, right. And honestly, it was really, really weird.
That is utterly bizarre. Yeah.
You know, but that whole time was time was really weird. I remember because
did you buy anything for him after?
No. I thought about leaving him a parting gift, or leaving one in his car. But I remember when I got done for the Pedlo.
Yep.
It was really weird because they called a crisis meeting, a team meeting, a crisis meeting, and we walked in to the team room, and there was the flip chart, and everyone's name initialed was on the flip chart, and you're looking down and you can see all your initials on the flip chart. So one by one, right, you had to get up and write what time you came in the 2 nights before when I got rumbled for the Pedlo, and he said, now we've got a 12 midnight curfew. We've never had a curfew in our lives, but we've got a midnight curfew. If you break it, you're getting fined or whatever. So one by one, the lads are getting up and writing. A couple of the lads lied. Mm-hmm. One of the batsmen lied. He phoned up another player and
got an alibi.
Really?
For his story.
Yeah. Wow.
A few lads got up and wrote it. Like one of them was like 2 a.m, 3 a.m, and then one of the lads, Liam Punk, it was a bit noisy coming in, and then Duncan said, are you going to you get the coach up as well? And then Pudge just turned and said, would you like me to write that or what? So then I've got up, I've got the pen in my hand. Do you know what? For the life of me, no idea what time I came in. No idea. So I'm looking round at the lads thinking, someone just help us out here. So I didn't know, so I just put 3:30. So he's like, his face has collapsed and he's, oh. I came in at 1:30. I've done myself out of 2 hours. So we've done that, and it was bizarre. And then the next day, Ian Belly was younger then, and he was a bit worried about his position. Mm-hmm. So we had a lad called Jeremy Snape, who was a psychologist, which I don't know why, but we had him, and he's gone over after the meeting.
I know Snape. Was he not that good as a psychologist?
I don't know. I just knew him as a player, the most insecure player I've ever played with. So Belly's gone up to Snapey after the meeting because Belly's panicking. He's worried. He says to Jeremy Snapey, he says, Snapey, you know, I'm thinking of just going over to Duncan now and apologising because I did come in at 1:30, 2 o'clock, and I might. And Jeremy Snape said, "No, Belly, just leave it. It's not the time for this. It's not the time. Leave it." So he thought nothing of it. Next morning we got to practice. We're all sat on the grass. So Duncan's made his big speech, hammering everyone and saying about this and that. And then he turns around to Jeremy Snape, the psychologist. He said, "Jeremy, you're the only one out of everyone who's apologised. Thanks very much for your email."
No.
Belly's face, I thought he was going to cry. No. His face drops, he's like tears in his eyes. He's like, what? So, dressing room dynamics are weird things.
Yeah. And I was just going to one quick point, Rob, is just on the psychology of a coach hammering players when they played badly. Think about the skill that is in play when you play cricket, when you play football. Would you want somebody performing surgery on you to have a gun to his head, so if something goes slightly wrong, they get shot, they get hammered? I think that would make them more... Yeah. Don't you think that would make them more...
I might still be playing.
I think that would make them more nervous, they'd be more anxious, their perception would narrow, they wouldn't be able to be as expansive or creative. I think that the anger
I don't want a surgeon
and
to be
vilification...
creative. I want him to do his job.
Yeah, sure, but if you have... OK, to take a different example, take a concert pianist. Yeah. Can you imagine about to play Rachmaninoff's second piano concerto?
Who's Rachmaninoff? Is that rap? Rachmaninoff?
Robbie, go on.
So
I get your point.
One of the best ones to end this conversation about dressing room.
But I had your best.
So, as I've said, Martin O'Neill was a master man management, brilliant.
Yep.
I remember 2 or 3 occasions before the end of the first half, I kept giving the ball away, right? So I'm going into the dressing room now thinking, wow, I'm going to get absolutely hammered here. Shawls were down, drooped off, thinking he's going to hammer me. Sat down. Anyway, he puts his hand over his mouth, looks round, starts hammering Jerry Taggart. So I'm thinking, I've sat back in my seat and gone, I've got away with this one. But he said to Jerry Taggart, he said, I'm going to have a go at you, this and that, because I've told you not to pass the ball to him. So it was the most word that killed me. Yeah. So I'm thinking I've got away with it, but he's like, I'm a Jerry Taggart, and I've told you, I'm having a go at you, because I've told you, why are you giving the ball to him? Like, he pointed at me, and I've got it made me feel even worse. So his man management skills were fantastic. And I think a manager in a dressing room, to have a group of players and manage them all individually is so tough to do, but some people do it brilliantly well.
I was genuinely fascinated by what, I don't know if you've seen it, Ferguson talking to his different players. I would love to see how that dynamic works. And you said Fletcher hammered you when you were sat on the ground. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in situations like that. The thing we haven't mentioned, and we can perhaps do on the final podcast, is how players react with each other, how they criticise each other or try and motivate each other. It's not just the team coach or manager who tries to create the right psychology. You do it with each other. So perhaps we'll come back.
It's amazing, Fred. We've done 54 topics. He's come up with 2. Today's the first 2 he's come up with the whole series. It's all right now. We're with 2 left. Well done, Matthew.
Thank
brilliant.
You, Robbie. Yeah,
it's all right.
Getting in the swing of it.
The successful novelist. A body at the bottom of the staircase. Beyond reasonable doubt. The new podcast phenomenon from BBC 5 Live. Download and subscribe now.
Topic number 2. Does sport build character? Now, this is my topic, and I think the history lesson here is quite interesting. When sport became a dominant thing in the second half of the 19th century, people said that sport was important in schools because it helped people to develop moral fibre.
When does it get interesting?
To develop character. They called it muscular Christianity. That, I think, filtered through into the Olympics, where people think that it's a really powerful, good institution because it enables people to compete and to learn how to lose with dignity and to win with grace. But I want to ask you two, do you think sport, as part of your life, has helped you become better people in addition to enabling you to become better sports people?
Sport.
Are you still awake, Fred?
I'm just catching my breath for a second while I think if I'm going to answer this. When you talk about sport building character,
Yeah.
Firstly, it might enhance it, but I think to play sport at a decent level, you need character anyway. I think it is a test of character more than anything. I think the more you play, your character builds. But you think about, what would I be doing if I didn't play sport? Where I'm from, the background, I look at my mates, I look at the people I went to school with, where they are. Some are in prison, a couple have died. Some have made a good go of it.
Yeah.
But what would I be doing? I've got no idea. I don't know if it has made me a better person.
You think it's not built your character, it's revealed your character?
It's given me a character in some ways. It's given me an identity, which I probably desperately craved. But I don't know if it... You know, I look at it, and I think I've mentioned before that competition and sport can bring out the best of me.
Yeah.
But also bring out the worst in me. That competition, and I think speaking for the three of us here, you told your Des Douglas story where you nearly cheated Des Douglas.
Yep.
Rob talks about diving and trying to get one over on the opposition. Me not walking when I've nicked it behind. It is win at all costs.
Yeah.
And whether that's a good thing to have in your character or not, I'm not quite sure.
Matthew, in sport, to have a character, to build a character, do you have to have setbacks along the way? Because I see these, like the people like Paul Scholes, Gary Neville, the top players. They'll still be characters, even though they've not gone through failures.
But they will have done.
Right.
In their youth football.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Scholes suffered with asthma terribly,
Yeah.
and he was struggling for a long time in the youth team. A lot of people thought he was too small to make the transition. Yeah. He faced incredible challenges, not just in his football life. I got to know him quite well in his personal life. Massive, incredible, as you know. And he's had to come through them. I think sport does give you the opportunity to develop the resilience that is so important. But I think it can also, I think Fred's right. Some people get destroyed by that. I have people who I came through in table tennis, and I know Fred doesn't think anyone cares about table tennis, but they wouldn't get selected for the England team, or they would lose a crucial match early in their career. And their response was, I'm throwing my toys out of the pram. That's it. I'm giving up. I don't need that sport. I think you need to have... And you can develop it through time. You do need that resilience.
Sorry, Matthew. You talk about building character and just thinking about it as you were speaking then, thinking about it. Does it make you a better person? Does it create character? I know I have crushed people.
Yeah.
I have achieved what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But on the way, I have hammered people. I've crushed people. I've destroyed people's dreams from being a schoolboy all the way up to a professional cricketer.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing when you talk about... Is that a good character? Is that a good trait to have? It's fine sat here. He's played all them Premier League games. He's played for Wales. I played for England. I played for Lancashire. You've played table tennis at the highest level in the Olympics. But that's fine. But think of all them people that you've beat.
Yeah.
I think of all them people that I've, as a kid, smashed around the park. I reckon there's kids who'll never play cricket again.
Yeah.
I think about the kids growing up. I have sledged, I have hammered, I've made them feel so small and so bad just so that I can win a game of cricket.
Okay, I think that's such an interesting perspective.
But you must be the same, Rob.
Yeah, and you do...
Is that a good thing?
I think...
I'm sat here now, but...
I'll give you my answer. I'll be interested to hear what you think, Robbie. I think it's a wonderful thing, so long as it all takes place within the rules. You mentioned your career, and you've bowled people out. You've hit people for six. Think of Roger Federer. He's ruthless. He's like an assassin. When he has somebody under pressure, he'll beat them 6-love, 6-love. He'll humiliate them. He'll find the weakness down the backhand side, and he'll play down that backhand side. Then he'll volley them off the pitch, off the court. And that's what sport is. I think life's a bit like that.
Well,
It's Darwinian. It's competitive.
What other profession is that acceptable?
Tell you what, Freddie, almost every profession.
But it's not, because if you're in a company...
Think about you're a businessman now. It's part of your day job. You are up against other businesses that are competing with your products, and in order for you to succeed in the marketplace, you have to convince people to buy what you do. It's viciously competitive, but so long as you do things within the rules, that's how free markets work. It's how the economy grows.
I don't see that as competitive. I don't see it as that. I saw sport as competition. And winning.
Yep.
That's what I saw it as. The other parts of my life, whether it's some of the stuff I do on TV, whether it's the property, I don't feel I'm in competition with other people.
But you are.
But I don't see it like that. I wouldn't trample over, or I wouldn't go to some of the extremities I went to in sport, in business. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but in a funny kind of a way, when you present an ITV primetime show, there's only a certain number of shows that can be on prime time on a Saturday night. And when you get the job, it means other people are not getting it. When you perform brilliantly on this podcast, because you're fun.
Not really. No, but
Robbie, is that not true?
I think that's different. I think that really is different. Because someone, whether I'm doing this podcast, whether I'm doing a TV show, has booked me for what they want for that program. And I've not had to try and hit someone on the head. I've not had to try and get someone out. I've not had to try and hurt someone, whether I'm bowling at them, or try and smash someone out the ground. They've booked it solely on what they see in me.
Yeah.
When you play sport, you're not just trying to win. You're not. It's not just about you.
Yeah.
You're trying in a lot of ways. You're trying to be ruthless. You have this thing where England always wanted to be ruthless. Once you got someone down, you go for the jugular.
Yeah.
And that is that...
But, okay, let me throw one other thing into the mix. I'll come to you, Robbie. But think about, it's quite interesting, that supermarkets, Tesco, Morrison's, Waitrose, Lidl, Aldi, they are
you've never been a Lidl or Morrison's, Matthew. Who are you kidding here? Who are you kidding, Matthew, here?
I'm a co-op, co-op.
I've got to tell you, it is ferocious.
Where? In Waitrose? What, down the Pimmins aisle?
How they advertise, the way they stock their supermarket.
Kale, whether the kale and the quinoa. Well, man,
seriously.
I think back to when, before the fall of the Cold War, the Berlin Wall, I went to Moscow, I went to Romania, and there wasn't competition out there. There was a state-run supermarket, and there was none of the ruthlessness that you say. The supermarket was protected because it was a monopoly. Competition is what makes supermarkets great. When a supermarket goes bankrupt, it shows that competition is working. And when you bowl somebody out so that they can't get into the England team, that's why cricket has got better and progressed. Competition is part of that dynamic.
All right, there's something that doesn't bother me, but something sticks out from my life when I was 15. Right, I scored.
Your belly.
That wasn't till I was 20. But you can have that one, Robert. You can have that one.
Thanks, man.
Can I carry on?
Because you
That was brilliant. Well played.
Oh, that was fun.
Well played. Sometimes you just got to doff your cap.
Yeah,
well played. When I was 15, I scored my highest score ever, 234 not out, in a 2020 game for St Anne's. Right? I was playing against Fulham and Broughton on the ground, which I played on as a kid, and I played there many times. It's quite small. I turned up for the game. Fulham and Broughton had a kid playing called Knitting Board. Right? I remember his name because I used to play chess against him.
Yeah.
And I couldn't beat him at chess. He was brilliant.
What was his name?
Knitting Board.
Because his first name wasn't Chess. Desk Board.
What about your second one? Knitting Jumpers. Right? So I was playing against Knitting, and I couldn't beat him at chess. Couldn't beat him. He's better than me. But now we're in the cricket field, and I just thought, you know what? I'm going to destroy you. He bowled 4 overs, none for 99.
Shut off.
Yeah.
99.
99 or 4 overs. Just get in for 6. He bowled these dodgy leg spin. I kept smashing him. I raised my bat, got 200, walked off happy. I got home that night thinking, I wonder if he's ever going to play cricket again. And that's something now which I remember at 39.
Fred,
wow.
if you hadn't done that, somebody else would have done. If he wasn't good, think about it. Why should he be in that team, excluding somebody else, if he's not good enough?
But he was good enough for that team. I probably shouldn't have been playing.
Exactly.
I was playing professional cricket at the same age, but then I played under 15.
Right, I'll come and look at Robbie. I want to hear your perspective.
Played under 15s. I played at Lancashire, second team day after.
We're going to do, I think, friendship.
A bit tight, wasn't it?
Is it in this podcast?
Oh, because he could move a bishop better than me. Just getting him into
on
the
the
next field.
My best friend, Mark Ortherson, growing up, he was somebody who loved football. He loved football, played five-a-side. He played in the school second team. He was desperate to get into the Premier League. Was he good enough? No. Did it hurt him? Absolutely. But the fact that he learned how to lose and how to learn from his defeats, he took that into his life beyond sport. And he had an incredibly successful career in IT. Freddie, if you go easy on somebody who's not good enough, that doesn't help that person. It insults that person. Think about your children. Would you, if you're playing cricket with your children, pretend they're better than they really are? One day they'll get found out. Competition in sport is a fantastically powerful thing. Exploiting someone's weaknesses is a healthy thing. Robbie, what do you think about this? As a parent and as a footballer, don't you think that competition is a great thing, it's an empowering thing, and it's not an immoral for you to beat another team 10-0 if they're not good enough?
No, I think was it Brian Clough who says when your teams were winning, you want to hurt them even more. If you're winning 4-0, score 6, 7, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But in terms of the character one, I think it's a great topic because from the skinny guy who wore 2 pair of jeans, 2 jumpers to go out, you know, as a youngster, for me growing up in that class of 92, the initiation ceremonies, the character building, that I think people say I'm a character. You know, am I a character because I would have always been a character, or am I a character because of sport? I would say probably because of sport, because if sport is the only thing I ever had, and if I'd have had no sport, would I have been as confident now as, you know, as a character? I don't think I would have.
Well, how difficult
I agree with
was it?
that. I think sport helped my character. I wouldn't be the same person without it. It gave me a character in some ways. But also as well, it toughened me up to some. My missus speaks to me.
Yes, that's the word.
She gets
Toughens you up.
frustrated because I don't have much compassion. You know,
do, Fred.
I do and
You
I
do.
don't. For certain things, my missus pulls me all the time. Because if someone like my brother, I remember he had a bad back for a while, and I couldn't have it. I said, I'd play with that. What's wrong with you? Sort yourself out. It's a spasm. And in certain ways, I've got no compassion toward. In other ways, of course I have. But my missus sees it because that side of you, the sporting side, were.
No, I seen that yesterday. It was a brilliant example of him yesterday. So we were at boys' cricket, and his 2 boys are brilliant cricketers. There's no 2 ways about it. Brilliant cricketers. One of them plays 3 or 4 years up, and his eldest one went into bat yesterday, and he's made a great example. You train how you play. You carry on with the story. You took him to the nets. He was a bit lazy in the nets.
Yeah.
Tell the story. This is where he's saying the compassion, but it was brilliant.
Well, what I find is with the kids, if they want to play a sport or they want to have a shot at it, I think one of the problems is you learn from your own mistakes.
Yep.
So my standards have got a lot higher because I made a lot of mistakes. I don't want my kids to make the same mistakes. And the one thing is, everyone romanticizes about professional sport, and everyone romanticizes, it's brilliant. They see footballers, they see like Robbie talking about it, and they've got the cars, they've got the houses, they've got all this adulation, but they don't really see how they get to that point. Yep. You know, and I know you're passionate about this, and when you talk about wages in football, and you talk about how hard they work and what they deserve. And cricket's no different. You know, the money's getting better all the time, but there is a process to get to there. People just see that end thing.
Absolutely.
And I've been in it, so I probably got attacking it from a better position. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, on Saturday morning, my youngest, he's 9, he's in Lancashire under 10 side. The other one's in Lancashire under 11s. Should be in the same team, but that's another story. So I've taken him to practice on Saturday morning. I've driven to Burnley. I left the house at 8 o'clock for 9 o'clock practice. He's turned the corner, fair play to him. He's been brilliant the past few weeks. He's 9, but he's been mustard, as he's done so well, Rocky. And then we talk about practice in the car all the time. We talk about some of the things he wants to work on and how he gets better. He tells me about how he feels and various stuff. And I watched him back, and I was disappointed. And I wasn't disappointed because he'd had a bad night or he'd not gone well for him. What I'm trying to get into him is you practice how you play.
Yep.
The night before, he got caught playing a bad shot. Right, he got caught mid-wicket. And then he went in the net and he'd have been caught 4 or 5 times playing that shot. So I've spelt that out to him, and I've said, look, how you practice is how you play.
Yep.
And it's up to you. I wasn't hard on him. I wasn't getting angry or anything like that. I was just telling him, you practice, and then you take that practice into a game.
Yeah.
He practiced badly on Saturday. He goes on Sunday. he gets his 25 and he retires, but he didn't play particularly well. He probably missed more than he hit and just whacked a few. So when he comes off, I have a chat with him. And I said, what do you think? And he tells me. And I said, you played how you practiced yesterday. It's a simple equation. And I have that conversation with the kids. I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, but first of all,
it was brilliant because he was about compassion.
Yep.
But for me, listening to him with his boy, when his boy made 25 not out and you have to retire, and he's a year or two younger than the other boys, and he was saying to me, 'cause I was asking him, he said he didn't have a good net yesterday, a bit lazy, and the way he started, he was smacking things, missing them, and he finished really well. He had 2 beautiful shots, 4, but when he come off, as a father, but as somebody who's been there and done it, he was concise, he was complimentary at times, he was encouraging, but let him know that you train how you play. And the way he'd done it, that's why I think he would be brilliant in youth cricket, cricket, because the way he got his message across to his own son, it was brilliant.
I've got it wrong a few times, but it's also as well, do you know when you talk about character, and you talk, well, from where I'm from, for me, cricket, and I don't suppose it was a way out because I come from a great family, so it's not a case of a way out, I'd be nicking cars or doing anything like that. But I think, well, what would I have done? The stakes were quite high. The stakes are high. It's like, if I don't play cricket, what am I going to do? I worked behind the record counter at Woolworths when I was at school. I really enjoyed it. I didn't want to go into further education. It wasn't for me. What would I have done? So the stakes for me to play cricket were high. And when I was a kid and I was going out to bat, and I was going out to play, I felt that. I knew that. I didn't want to waste opportunities. I wasted them as a professional for about 4 years, which I hate myself for. The stakes were high. But it's also conveying that to my kids. Is that when I was talking to him, I was saying, look, you're batting. You get one chance. I know you finish well, but it can be all over in an instant. You get one chance to do this. Make every opportunity count. But the hard thing is where my kids live and my kids are being brought up, they'll have options. Because they're growing up in a completely different world to what I was growing up in. And I don't think the consequence is as high. Because, oh, well, Dad will look after us, or we'll carry on, we'll go to a great school, and we'll get education, and we'll do this, that, and the other. And it's trying to find that balance in that. My kids are full of character. There's no two ways about it.
They are.
And so are Rob, so are all. They've got to be.
Can I pick up on a few of the things you said? It's so interesting. But I mean, the thing you were saying about people assume that success is an easy thing or a shortcut thing, because they see you hitting sixes at Lords, but they don't see what you went through in order to get there. How much effort you put.
What he did.
Exactly. But once kids begin to understand that it's a long-term process, they begin to take their practice more seriously. You say you've only get a number of chances. You only get a certain number of chances to practice and do it in the right way and with full commitment and with discipline. And just one thing on the competition stuff. It seems to me you're giving your children really empowering messages about how they can fulfill their potential. I went to, on Thursday morning, my daughter, Evie, she's only 4, it was her first ever sports day. And they had 4 races at a sports field about 2 miles from where we live. And as a dad, it was very emotional watching your children competing. And it was a wonderful thing. And she's a bit older than the other kids because she was born at the beginning of September. So she's one of the older in the class. And she won 3 of her 4 races.
Brilliant.
And after, I was saying to her, you won 3 and you lost 1. Because she needed to understand that, because they all got medals. They all got badges of exactly the same kind. And I want her to really understand that it's great to win. You want to win. But if you lose, you learn from that too. And I would hate a situation where people were saying in senior school, I mean, these are just young kids, but in senior school, medals for everyone is such a dangerous thing. So I don't think you were doing anything wrong when, with knitting board, you hit him for 99 off 4 overs. I think that is what sport is all about.
In terms of character, I think in my time as a player, I think you have to be a character, because if you're not, I've been on trips and in dressing rooms where if you're a bit introverted, insecure, and isn't one of the lads that joins in with the banter, isn't one of the lads when you go on a away trip has a pint with everybody else, you're the one that sits in you, and people say, oh, he's dull, he's boring, he's not a character. I think you can feel left out. So I think at times you have to be a character in a dressing room.
That's what changed with me.
Because if you're not, and if I wasn't a character and I was sitting there, I'd have probably felt different. I'd have isolated. because people will say, and it happens that on Wales trips, there was a few lads who never got involved, who didn't speak, whether that was their personality, but then they would be, oh, I'm not going to ask him to go out because they're not a character. The characters seem to stick together. And I think in sport, I think you have, especially even more so now, I think you have to be a character to survive.
Well, my character was really based on drinking. All of a sudden, you start drinking. He's a character, but not really. There's a bit more to it than that. But going back to the kids, is what I try and do with my kids, and I've got it wrong. I've upset them a few times. Is that I try and push the buttons. I want to get a reaction out of them. They're great kids, and I know it's in there with them. But if you want to play sport, it's that edge, it's that ruthlessness, it's that desire to win above anything else. And maybe it's not the right thing, and people probably listen thinking you shouldn't be teaching that to kids. That's fine. But if they want to be sports people, or any kid playing sport, you need that. It's a competitive world.
Fred, it's an important thing for life, as long as they're doing it within the rules. If you are giving your children, I think, messages and lessons, it's not just about sport. It's about everything they bring to their life. Do it with dedication, with passion, and in the right way. I think there are coaches who give people in sport the wrong lessons, like take drugs, take a shortcut. That's disgusting.
Or everything's all right, everything's fine when you get beat. I hate that.
I think that's wrong.
But I do it with my kids as well. If even simple things where they'll do something lazy, like they'll get something out of the car and they won't put the shoes on. Yeah. And I'll say, no, put your shoes on. Yeah. Or just something like the homework. They've not done it. And because there's a danger to apply everything to sport. But I don't think that you can pick and choose what you're going to be not lazy on and what you're going to put all your effort into. You put all your effort into everything. And it's
do it with all your heart.
So I relate everything. So say if they have a lazy game of cricket, or you can see them, they're not on it. Then rather than for that, there'll be another example of something they've done during that day, where I say, well, it's just the same as that.
Fascinating, brilliant topic. Thanks, guys. Topic number 3. Now, this is yours, Robbie, and this is an interesting one. I saw your tweets on Friday night. This is about friendship. You have friends who are real and some who are fake. Fair weather friends
Robbie's
and
friends.
those who are there for you. What do you got in mind here, Robbie?
Friends.
Well, do you know what, Matthew? I've been thinking about this for a while. What are real friends, and who are fake friends? Who are friends who use you to get places because you are in the public eye? And I was sitting home and sitting there. I don't drink. I hardly drink. I'll have a couple of glasses of rosé on a weekend. I was sick last night after a couple, and I've had my mother round staying. So because the weather's nice, we've got an outdoor area of our house, and you can only sit outside 3 or 4 times a year in this country.
You've
got a telly as well.
You've got a garden.
I've got a garden. Yeah, I got a garden.
Outdoor area.
Commonly known as.
Exactly.
Garden. I've got a garden. Yeah. So I was sitting there and I had 2 glasses of rose, and I was just contemplating a bit of life, as you do. I had Love Island just finished, and I was sitting there.
Hang on a minute. So after Love Island, you start to contemplate your life. Is that how it works? Robbie Savage watches Love Island. What do you look at thinking that could have been me? That could have been me. That could have been me when we talked. He had his top off yesterday in Garden as well. He thought he was on Love Island. He's got neighbours around and people. He's walking around with his jeans rolled up and his shoes off. So
I was contemplating. So I've done a few tweets saying, do you know what? I'm in a part of my life now which I'm so happy, because I moved to Manchester 12 years ago, and when you move football clubs, my wife moves with me, and but some wives don't, Fred. Some wives will stay, and if they've got children at a certain age, they will stay. So she followed me everywhere, because we're a partnership, we love each other so much, and we're together. Whatever we've gone through, it's gone through as a couple, and that's great. So, but when we moved to Manchester, and where we're settled now, where we call home, 12 years ago, I didn't have any friends. I've got no friends, because people think, well,
this is a completely new area.
It's a new area, so I haven't got no friends. I had a friend who moved away, my pal called Terry, played tennis with him all the time, and then he left. So I couldn't count my number of good friends on one hand. And I was just thinking recently, now we've got the gym group, and there's 6 of us. And Fred, and listen, we've become very, very close friends. So I was sitting there.
No, we have. If you don't look at me like that,
No, we have,
I'm going
we have.
to concur.
Yeah.
Well, you was looking as if you wanted me to say it. You wanted me to say it.
That was wrong.
But I
That was wrong.
But I was just thinking,
Come on,
you know
Syed.
what? When you move, I couldn't, from Wrexham, I've got a friend called Jamie, who was my best pal, and he still is, from
Has he
school.
got a nickname?
He Pipes, Jamie Piper.
Jamie Piper.
Yeah,
What's the other one? The driver.
Gaz the driver.
Gaz the driver.
But, and
Jamie
Nutty,
Piper.
I've got a guy called Nutty as well.
What's he doing, Nutty?
He's a taxi driver.
Oh.
Yeah. But these are my best friends from school, and I know if I broke down in the middle of nowhere, Jamie and Nutty would be the.
We'll
they'd
pick
come
you up
and
in
get
a
me.
He's a taxi driver.
Yeah.
Of course he would. What in heck? You'd be on the meter. Hang on a minute.
Just realised.
Are you sure this is a friend or just some? Is he just doing his job?
I just realised that.
Did you meet him on 118, 118?
I've just realised.
Hang on a minute, you can pick me up. Oh, no,
I didn't realise.
it's going so well.
So well. But listen.
Have you got a friend who clean your windows if they're dirty? Pete the window cleaner.
Listen, let me carry on. So, Matthew, listen. So these people are my real friends, right? But listen.
He's a taxi driver. What he does?
Can we start again? Stop hammering me. Can we start again? No, I'm trying to say this point here. So what I'm trying to say is, right, I've got some real friends who I grew up with, who can rely on, who I can confide in. But when you move as a footballer, you don't have friends. You have acquaintances. You have acquaintances, and then you move from club to club. So I was speaking to my wife about this. She drops the kids off at school. She has she will make friends from being a mum at school.
Yeah.
They have coffee mornings. I will go to work, but when I get home, I can't call Jamie or Nutty from Wrexham to come all the way over to me to have a game of snooker or a pool game of
Got
golf.
an airport pickup.
Yeah. But listen, do you know what I mean? So, but now, all of a sudden in my life, where I've been let down by friends who I thought were real friends, who have let me down massively, who you thought, yeah, he's got my back, I can run him. But then you hear stories when he's hammer you to other people. It all gets back to you in the world we live in, and you feel let down massively. But now I'm in a position in my life where for the first time in 21 years, I'm at home in Manchester, and now I've got Fred, I've got Clive, Stanley, Steve, our gym group, and I know for a fact if I was in trouble, these 6 people would help me out. And it's comforting to know that now I can ring Fred and say, Fred, do you fancy going for a coffee? Yes. But as a footballer, you can't do that because they're acquaintances. And I'm not the type of person who, I don't like that lifestyle of phoning another footballer up saying, come for a coffee. Because when you move clubs, you might ring him once every 2-3 years. Darren Eady was a good friend of mine. Stephen Bywater, who now lives... Good friends. We don't see each other often, but in football, they're acquaintances. And as a celebrity, I hate that word celebrity, but...
You are, though.
You've got people who will, when you got to cup finals, I didn't get so many, or you're playing for Wales, all of a sudden, you'll have a text on your phone. Yeah. You haven't heard from these people for 2 or 3, 4 years. Can I get me tickets? And I think, hang on a minute. Where were you when I was struggling? Where were you when I had a bad game? And it made me realise that friends can let you down. You have acquaintances in football, but now, a part of my life, I feel like I'm probably as comfortable now in my life at 42 than I have been ever.
In any of the clubs that you played in football, did you develop any friendships that were so strong that they remain very close friends to this day?
Yeah, I would say John Hartson. John Hartson's a very close friend. Stephen Bywater, room with him. My roommates, all the way through my career, would be friends. Mm-hmm. John Hartson's a close friend, and because I work with him now, and I continue to see him, so that probably helps. Stephen Bywater moved to our area, played in Go for Derby's at Alberta Albion now. Darren Eady, he moved to Norwich. Don't see him at all hardly. So your good friends move away, but it's still the funny thing is, and Fred will come on to this in a minute. The best friends, Jamie from Wrexham. He's 42, same age as me now, went to school with him. I know for a fact, if I was in Spain...
Don't do it again.
No, I was in Spain.
Is he a travel
pick you up.
Is he a pilot?
But he'd come to me. And the thing is, I had a pal who I played tennis with, Terry, every Monday. He moved away. And then thinking, That's another friend gone. So, but now it's weird to think that in my life now I'm at a time where I've got great friends.
People, I think, often assume that when you become famous, you're a celebrity in the public eye, then you are going to be widely loved and admired and liked, and making friends is going to be the easiest thing in the world. I know a few famous people, and it's often quite difficult because you don't know whether the people who want to be friends with you are interested in you yourself or because of the reflected glory of being alongside a celebrity. Have you found that,
you
Fred?
treat people now with suspicion.
Exactly.
Firstly, whether that's right or wrong, I'm not sure, but you do. And then, like Rob says, it's really, really strange in the fact that you play a sport, and I had all these people that I played with, and some of them are friends now, but a lot aren't.
Yeah.
And Rob talks about friends letting you down, and yes, they have. And I think probably from time to time I've let them down as well. Because what happened with me when I retired was I had a close group of friends within cricket at Lancashire. Players, support staff, various people. And then do you know when you retire, it's your world that changes.
Yes.
Your world,
So true.
Your world changes, not theirs.
Yeah.
On a Monday morning, they'll go to practice and their lives will carry on. Where yours, all of a sudden, it's like your identity's gone. What am I going to do? I moved to Dubai, I think. Part of that reason was to get away from it. I moved to Surrey to start again. Ended up back where I started pretty much.
Yeah.
But then I lost contact with a few people. And then everyone thinks, well, you're doing this TV stuff and you're out there in the public eye, and everyone, they feel that you've let them down because, for all intents and purposes, your life's great and your life's brilliant. But what they don't understand is actually, I want your life. I want that back. I want to be part of this team. And the reason that I'm not around you, the reason I'm not phoning you up, is because it reminds me of what I want. I want to be a part of this. And I realise that I am not part of this anymore. So relationships for me changed. And I'm rebuilding some of them now with the people that I used to be close to. And I think also as well with me, you know, we spoke about depression and we spoke about various things, and I think that's affected relationships. When I stopped drinking, some of the people I knocked around with changed a bit. Some of the people who don't understand what I can go through, it changes. And I've been quite ruthless in some ways as well to take myself out of situations. So I think that's changed. But then with Rob, we see each other every day. You know, we come.
You see it really every day.
Pretty much if we're at home, don't we?
Yeah.
Whether it's a gym or various things. And
We speak to each other every day.
Yeah, so lucky. And then I've got my mates like from Preston, who I don't see enough of, but I know when I go and see them, you pick up pretty much where you left off.
It can be such a lonely place as well, being a celebrity. Because when you play football, and as I say, you go home. So I would have got to training, or I would do a job now. I'll go home. It's such a lonely place because I can't phone X, Y, and Z before I've had this group of friends now to go out to have a coffee to meet. You go home, your wife might be out with her friends, and you are the one who, you know, you're the one who's, everybody thinks he'll have loads of mates. He can phone up him. But in reality, it's such a lonely place when you move from club to club to club. And then you're in new areas because you don't know anybody. And I'm not one to socialise in the playground with the dads of because it's no interest to me because are they there really or? But now I'm not lonely anymore. I've got friends who I can rely on and I can trust. It's weird,
and it's really obvious how much it means to you because
massively.
It's very difficult when you're isolated. You're not, there aren't people that you can pick up the phone to, who you can meet, who you can talk to when things aren't going.
I get jealous. I get jealous of my mates. And people will think that's hard
back home.
Back home, because there'll be now 10, 11, 12 of them. Every Saturday night they'll go out, they're married, and they're all together, got this great camaraderie. Whereas I'd be jealous of their relationships together because people will think he's got all those friends. I haven't. I've got, I think, 5 to 10 great friends, and now I see 6 of them on a regular basis. Before that, before this group, the gym group happened, I've never been so lonely in my life because I've got nobody. I mean, that sounds weird, except for my family.
Yeah. Because you get taken out of it. And then, talking about, for instance, Lancashire, the people I was really close to and then starting to become again, is that you feel like a spare part, don't you? Because their life is still that world.
Yeah.
And yours isn't.
Yeah.
And then you'll be there and they'll be talking about it all the time, or come in and do it. But you're just not part of it.
It's so interesting that was so emotionally difficult for you to be a part of a group where you weren't doing the activity that you enjoyed for so long, that you actually went and moved to Dubai, almost to separate yourself and start afresh.
But the reasons I moved to Dubai weren't necessarily because of that. I wanted to get away. And then I was going to play for Chennai, and I'd signed for Queensland and this. Realistically, I wasn't going to. But I just needed that.
Yeah, space.
Just space. I just needed to get away from my life almost.
Yeah.
I was 31, and everything I knew, my world had been turned upside down. It was like, what am I going to do now? But everybody else just continues. Everyone else just carries on. And then people get the ump with you saying, well, why have you not phoned? Why did you not keep in touch? And I felt bad for that for a while, but I thought, hang on a minute.
Yeah.
Why did nobody phone me?
Yeah.
I'm the one who's retired. I'm the one who's got a knackered knee. I'm the one who's going through all this.
Yeah.
You know, you're all there when it's going great, but I need a bit of an hug now.
Yeah.
This is what I need.
What about you, Matthew?
Yeah, well, I'm just reflecting so much on what both
True,
of you are saying.
True.
I relate to a lot of it. I've got a reunion on Saturday at Royal Ascot with...
It just talks about your friends, doesn't it? Royal Ascot. I might go Friday Social Club in Preston and meet the lads. You go at Royal Ascot, what?
It's with Paul Day, who was one of my dearest friends and coach. Pete Charters, my first coach. Jimmy Stokes, who I came through Reading table tennis, known him since I was 10. Jean Parker, Jill and Don Parker, who you might know. Jill Hammersley, from Preston.
She beat me when she was 8, that Parker.
That's her daughter, Katie.
She ruined my table tennis career. In garage.
Was that Katie or the
How
young
old is
one?
she?
Katie's about 7 years younger than me.
Yeah, that'd be it.
Yeah, right. So
I was
that's
about
their
13, 14. She was 8.
Yeah.
I didn't play again after that. Beat me in garage in Preston. You could barely get over at table.
Yeah.
You could have barely see your eyes over at table, but when my next stick a
that
bat
was
in her
going
hand,
up.
it was going everywhere.
Yeah, she's brilliant. Youngest ever person, I think, to play for England. But I haven't seen them. I don't see very much of them. I'm really looking forward to seeing them. And I had a reunion with my England teammates on Dover Street in Mayfair, just a bar where we... I only threw that in to wind Freddie up.
The Arts Club on Dover Street.
Opposite.
Oh, right, Dover Street Wine Bar.
It used to be called that. It's now under a different name. Oh, yeah. And we had just a few drinks.
Are you posh?
My wife, no. We just because we're at a
Seriously?
special occasion to meet them.
Are you
They're
posh?
from Maiden. No,
Are you
we're not.
nouveau riche? He's
Seriously,
nouveau
you are,
rich. He's
you're
one of them
very
new
clever.
breed of rich.
The reason we go to Ascot is
He's a new breed of rich.
He's clever, isn't he? He's
He's one of
clever.
them new ones.
You're right for the times. You have a reunion at Royal Ascot and you go to the Dover Soul.
He's
What's
one
it
of them
called?
Dover Soul.
What's it called?
Dover Soul. That's a fish.
What's it called?
That's a fish. Over there, Dover Street Wine Bar,
that
Dover
one?
Soul.
That
Yeah,
one.
next door to the Kipper. Over there.
Did he?
But he's one of them who wants to be a loafer as well. He's obviously minted, but dresses like a tramp. Isn't he? He's one of them posh ones, isn't he?
Matthew, but where are you? Are those real friends?
Well, the guys who I hooked up with at the bar around Christmas time, I think of them as friends, but I'm not as close to them as I used to be. They live in different parts of the country. They're not all in London. In fact, none of them are in London, in West London, so it'd be very difficult to keep up that kind of a relationship with them. I mean, a slightly personal point, really. I feel very jealous listening to the two of you talk because obviously the most important relationship in our lives is our wife and children.
Yes.
But friendship, platonic friendship, male friendship is one of the most beautiful things.
It is,
and
yeah.
I mentioned Mark Ortherson a bit earlier, who I'm in the context of him playing football, wanting to be a footballer but never made it. We went to nursery school together, best friends through primary, senior school. I became very close friends with his wife when he got married, best man at his wedding. We spoke every day. Wherever we were in the world, we spoke every day. Lovely guy. He died. He got leukemia, passed away. Which was heartbreaking because it was a massive hole in my life. He became very close with all of my family as well, Mark. And then I got very close with Tony from Richmond. Met in a bar, a few other guys would hang out. Wonderful, brilliant guy. He was going to be best man at my wedding in 2011 in the summer. And then he died of a heart attack.
Oh, my word.
Tragically, prematurely. And he was such a dear, dear friend. And, you know, my wife says occasionally, you know, I don't have that many really close friends. And I think when you've been hurt as badly as that. And I think about them both a lot. I mean, I miss them terribly. I think probably I do need to develop a close network of friends, and I think I probably lack that a bit. I do have good friends. Anyone listening here, I do have really good friends, but I don't think I have that incredible soulmate dynamic that I did have for a very long time, and it's a big absence.
But you don't hear a bloke saying that, do you, really? Yeah. Saying, especially like you talk about your two friends who passed, and then the hole in your life. You hear that when people talk about partners, don't you, really? But it's so true.
Like when I moved to the area I'm in now, and I've never been one to go to the pub, but on the occasion I did after the game, I nipped in, and there's 6-7 lads who have grown up in that area, and they're all the dynamic of having close friends is something which is unbelievable. Yeah. And I think you spoke about me and Fred there in our group. We're so lucky now. I think we are so lucky to be in a position where we've got great friends and don't feel lonely anymore. That doesn't sound stupid, but I am jealous of a lot of people.
No, I totally understand that. And I was just thinking in your context, Rob, you got your friend, the taxi driver down there. I mean, when you moved up to Manchester, you should have called Addison Lee. You could have had a whole network.
Also as well, when I had a look at my life and stopped drinking and things, that really affected relationships. Because, one, I don't want to go down the pub on an all-day session. I'll go and meet you. But also, I'm probably not as much fun for people as they
I was going to ask you about this. A lot of people who drink, they do it in order to have a personality that's more gregarious. But I don't know what you think, Rob. You are one of the most...
But the thing about it was, my nights, I used to go out to the pub and I used to get all that and drink and have a laugh. Were a lot of my time now with him, in the morning in the gym, I don't stop laughing.
No, I don't really laugh.
I just laugh all the time, so that's become my nights out. Yeah. It sounds really weird, but that's become my nights out because I just laugh. Yesterday I went round to his, and it was brilliant. And then all of a sudden, like, drink doesn't even come into it now. And I've got him, I've got my mate Paddy, my mate Lee.
Do you miss it even at all now?
Do you know what? Not really, because I know that if I start where I'll end up with it. Yeah. Because one's not enough, and one's too many, 100's not enough.
Yeah.
But then every now and then, like I saw yesterday, someone's having a beer or something. That'd be quite nice, but not really. I genuinely don't, because I think the circle of friends and the people who are closest to me accept what I am. They don't see me needing to have a drink. So my life's changed. But we went to the concert last week, actually, at Manchester, at Old Trafford, for the One Love concert. It was in the box. And what was really nice, because obviously Robbie was in there with his family, my mate Tony, my cousin couldn't come, but then Jimmy Anderson and Glenn Chappell were in there.
Oh, nice.
And they're two lads who I've spent so much time with over the years. Me and Jimmy had a bit of a split a few years ago. He slagged me off on his book unjustly. You know you did, Jim.
But it doesn't hurt anymore.
No, I forgot about it. But then Glenn Chappell, I spent all my time with him. We seemed to... get away from each other a little bit. But then to have them there, it was like old times, and then Rob's there and that. It was so nice.
Well, I think this has been a brilliant topic, Roberto. Thanks, guys. And thank you for listening. You can download the podcast for extended versions of all the topics we've covered on this week's show at the 5 Live website and all the usual podcast places. Please use the hashtag FredSavSide to get in touch through the week. If you could leave a review on iTunes and give us a rating, that would be great. We really appreciate those who have done it already. We'll be back next week for the final show in the series. But for now, from all of us, goodbye.
Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy.
Thank you for downloading this Flintoff, Savage and the Ping Pong Guy podcast. Make sure you subscribe to receive the latest episodes automatically to your device every single week. And if you like this, then why not have a look at what else 5 Live has to offer at bbc.co.uk/5live.